Well, I'm in First Kings, and it's I have read the Bible many times, and so I know it's going to happen. But right now, Solomon has just finished building God's house, and he built his house. And he this last chapter, well, he has like a little commemoration. He tells the story of how God pulled the Israelites out of Egypt, and his father, was a great king and had this vision of God's house, but because of the battles he had to fight, he didn't get done until Solomon did it, and then he does an amazing job of recognizing all the people that have helped him in the process, And there's a whole chapter about this one guy, and very skilled, and he learned his trade from his father, who was a amazing um, silversmith, and it just one of the things that Solomon does is he really edifies his subordinates. He just really pumps them up, and builds belief in them, and and that's uncommon. That's really really uncommon. Most people, when they are in a leadership position, have a tendency of always establishing their superiority. They're always, I am the leader, and um, and that's hard. It's really hard to follow. Um, I have a boss, and he is a PhD from Vietnam, and he did like 12 tours in Vietnam, just an incredible. Never lost anybody, right? And I have watched him make adjustments on how he communicates with me, and I really haven't seen too many people um, that are able to do that. It's very it's pronounced enough where it's recognizable. It's very yeah, I can. It's remarkable. Um, is the best way to describe it, is what he's done. And then he comes at me yesterday or Friday. I had a funeral to go to, and it was hot out, and my shiny head don't take well to the sun, so I had to get in the shade. And I was standing right next to the guy playing the bagpipes when he calls. and but he and I was in my suit and tie, and I popped into some warehouses, and this one warehouse manager who is very curt, very harsh. But he was the first one to buy from me, and he's bought the most from me. And when I first met him, I just didn't let him get under my skin. And I wanted to, but no, I needed a customer, right? And he was half lit at a party, and kept antagonizing me all night. Right, you convention crasher. And I just kept smiling. At the end of the night, he called me a convention crasher again. And then he goes, all right, we're going to buy from you. I talked to Jesse, and Jesse said you had good pricing, so we're probably going to be, we'll end up buying two 55-gallon drums, sight unseen. And that next Monday, didn't know who this guy Jesse was. I ended up meeting him later. He's one of the maintenance guys who's worked at some other warehouses. And I treat Jesse really good. And then I came back and I took him lunch one day. And then, he had to be, he's one of the guys that has to find something to pick at, right? And he was picking at my, what it was. He didn't eat my lunch, but the ladies did in the office. And then I took the rest of it over to the warehouse. And then he called me at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking he's been drinking, but he just needed help. And so I got Dr. Kobe on the phone. And it was 15 minutes, and Dr. Kobe had it solved. And that guy, the next day I went by to see him just to make sure, he was satisfied with, the service that he got. And he goes, "That Dr. Kobe doesn't mess around," and gave me an order for 3 more drums of chemical. And then I just popped in after the funeral, and we got to talking, and I started talking about my dad and how if I could hear, I thought of a joke, I'd call my dad. Next thing you know, we're telling jokes. Then he goes, "Oh yeah, I need to order another drum." And I called up Dr. Kobe and told him, and he's got totally unrelated to what I'm doing with food safety and the training and the chemicals. He wants me to do training. He's got a client that needs training on a live shooter response. And so I know some people that do that, and I'm gonna see about getting certified at training. It's a lot of it's kind of common sense, or we kind of did a lot of similar awareness training, cover and conceal versus concealment, and dead space, and just being aware, knowing where the doors are, where the escape routes are. You don't just hide. You're always looking to escape. It's so, and if you get it, if you have to attack, right? And there's always smart ways to do that. If you get an advantage on somebody, you need to keep that advantage. Somebody, you catch them where they're looking away from you, you keep them looking away from you. If they can't see you, they can't hit you or shoot you. Somebody's, in a vulnerable spot, they're coming through the door, and if you can, you slam into that door with all your body, you smash them, and get that gun away from them. Okay, and just little things, just being aware. But there's curriculum and there's certification and training, and I can do that. It's kind of a lot like going out and being the designated driver with your SEAL platoon buddies, and they're not paying attention, so you've got to. How that comes around is Solomon, and it's really just pointing out the things about the people around you that you can admire legitimately, and letting them know, because you know what they'll do? they'll keep doing it. Saw that in the boxing gym with the boys. I trained this one kid. Christopher never did anything right, and until one day I caught him. Wasn't even on time. He wasn't supposed. He didn't have to do nothing, but he threw a perfect left hook, and he'd never done anything right before. And I saw it, and I pointed out, "Look, you did it. You shifted your weight from your left foot to your right foot. You turned your shoulders, you brought your elbow up, your palm was facing you. That was perfect." And he just kept doing. Next thing you know, everything that he never could do before, he was doing perfect. And everybody around him was starting to step it up, and they were doing things more precisely, more perfectly. And so there's magic in that. All right, have a beautiful Sunday.